I'm just a few minutes late, but it's actually 20 minutes late. But I'm sorry. I am here. I am here. All right. And I do want to thank you all for joining in. Let's go ahead and get it started, okay? So, first and foremost, I thank y'all for turning in. Lord. Okay, well, first off, foremost, I'm going to just act like I didn't mess up the first time. I want to go ahead and I want to thank you all for tuning in to this segment of Everyday Herbs. My goal with this particular series is to show you all just the different ways that you already have medicine in your home. You know, just different ways that you are able to use it. So I do want to welcome you back to Everyday Herbs with your favorite herbalist, Miss She. Last class we talked about ginger and turmeric, and those are two very powerful roots that are used for inflammation as well as circulation. Today we're going to go ahead and continue that trim with two more herbs, okay? That we overlook so much or so commonly because they're so common, okay? I overlooked it today. I walked right by them and I put it on the table so I don't forget it, and I forgot them. So I did that, and those two things are garlic as well as onions. Now, I'm up here to my shop, so I have a little garlic, but mostly up here, what I do, because I buy garlic in bulk, so it doesn't go bad, what I do is I put it in my food processor, grind it down, well, chop it, and then I put a little olive oil in it, and then I put it in the freezer, and then I take them out, put them in the refrigerator as I need them, okay? So that's just my little tip that I do because I buy garlic in bulk, and garlic is, to me, is just amazing, okay? So we're gonna talk about garlic and onion. All right, so many medicines that we have today, they were inspired by plants. For example, you have aspirin that's actually was originally derived from the white willow bark, the white willow tree. Actually, it's the bark of the tree that they use for medicine. So if you do have a little headache or anything like that, you make a decoction of white willow bark. You could chew a little bit in your head, chew a little bit, if you could stand the taste, and you know what I'm saying. Call it a little headache medicine. You also have Taxol or Paclitaxel, and that's actually derived from the Pacific yew tree, and is used to treat various cancers. Now, I don't think you have to be a natural or holistic person to know that they have been using plants as well as foods to heal different forms of cancer. And no, I don't recommend you doing that without the supervision of a physician. Then you also have gallantamine, which is extracted from the snowdrop bulbs, and those are used to manage Alzheimer's disease. So back to what I was saying, that there are plants are many medications, they come from plants, okay? Hell, we even have morphine, codeine, and things of that nature that come from the poppy plant, you know? So that's my little spiel on that. So garlic and onions have been used for thousands of years. In food and medicine, originally, they were never separated. All right. Food and medicine was never separated, okay? Once we separated food from medicine, I think that's one of the things, but that's not what this rant is about. So, all right. Ooh. All right. So now your kitchen is the first pharmacy that most people overlook that they already have. You're not feeling good, you want to go into the kitchen, you want to start making some, make your soups, you make your teas and things of that nature. Your first is in the kitchen. So now let's talk a little bit more about garlic. So garlic, when it comes in its regular form, it comes in a bowl, and it has different cloves that you could peel off. I've even seen some that has very small, skinny ones, and I've also seen where they have an elephant garlic, which when you get it, the bulb is like super big, but it's only about sometimes like 3 or 4 cloves in it. So each clove is really, really large. All right, now, and garlic is also, because it's a bulb, it's a part of the allium family, okay? So that means it's related to onions, leeks, chives, things of that nature. And it's also one of the strongest natural antimicrobial herbs, meaning that it does kill bacteria, all right? So now I've actually heard people doing this. When you do have to clean something, they'll just rub a little garlic on it. There, if you don't mind the smell, of course. You go ahead and do that. So now the key compound is the allicin, and this is that's created when garlic is crushed and or chopped. Okay, so garlic, it needs about 10 to 15 minutes after chopping for all of that to activate. Okay, so the healing properties that it does include, it does help with your immune system, your heart health, circulation, antibacterial activity, antiviral activity, antifungal support, as well as blood pressure balance. And you can use garlic every day, like I was in everything. I like garlic in everything but eggs and grits. I don't like garlic for breakfast. I don't. But I think it works in everything else. But so you can also too, you can make like fermented garlic. You could do that by cutting up some garlic cloves and putting them in some honey. And people like to take that for their colds, like a little immune boost, and then also for allergies. And I always tell, that's a tip that I always give people. If you suffer especially from environmental seasonal allergies, the best way that you could go ahead and start working on that without having to take medication is just get some local raw honey. Make sure it's local from your area and start taking a spoon of that every day. Why? Because what it does is it builds your immunity up for the pollen, for the pollen that is in your area, so that way it's not like an attack. You kind of been building it up. All right, so you can also cook your garlic in your meals. You could cook it. You could boil it down in your broths and in soups as well. I like to do mine. I actually keep some in my kitchen. I'm going to do a video about that as well. My infused oils. One of my infused oils is garlic. And what I do is I just take my garlic, I fry it down really good in some really nice oil, strain it. Well, sometimes I strain it. And I pour it in my bottle and I put it up on the counter. And that's how I make my infused oil. That's also how I make my chili oil as well. Kind of how I make my chili oil. And then you also have fermented garlic. That's your black garlic. If you ever seen that, I've seen a fermenter on Amazon. I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know if I want to buy one or not. But you also have black one. You can really find that in many of your grocery stores. Black garlic. And that's actually garlic that has been fermented. And I believe it was ash or some kind, because it turns it black. All right. So garlic honey, as I was telling before, it's really good for cold and colds as well as flus. And now with the seasons changing, people are going to get sick again. So it's a really good cold and flu remedy as well. Now, garlic is one of the few foods that acts like medicine the moment it enters your body. You don't have to wait. It's going to keep doing what it's going to do. All right. And that is our good friend garlic. Now, I forgot the onion. All right. Hey, Auntie Nita. Now, all right. So most people, let me go ahead and talk about my auntie. So my Auntie Nita, so she is the first person, and my cousin Monica, they are like the first people I grew up with as they were doing yoga, vegan, vegetarian, not eating. I mean, exercising and doing all these things that we were like, who does that? We don't do that type of stuff. And she was always that person. So when it came down time, when I started seeing these things, I started seeing what was more trendy. So many things I was like, I already know about that from my auntie. And I remember one year, and this was years ago. We were at my grandma's house. Of course, you have Thanksgiving at grandma's house, but we were in that back area doing we were in that back area having Thanksgiving dinner, and she made the greens. And of course, you're going to make some jokes and whatever. They're like, oh, Nita made the greens. So you don't know what it's going to taste like, because y'all know black people, greens, holidays, you don't play with them. But she made some garlic greens. And when I tell you, I still remember those collard greens from all of these years later. I still remember them. So even when I started making my transition from meat as well, garlic greens was a dish that I made. However, they never tasted like hers. I don't know how she got it to taste so much like garlic without seeing a whole bunch of garlic. I don't know. But anyway, that's all about my auntie. So not everybody had an auntie that was doing yoga and doing all those really, doing all those things like that. I got to see that growing up. And then also, once I got older, she was also an example of discipline to me. And the reason I say that is because with her being, I didn't mention, well, she's my oldest, she's my grandma's first child. So the thing is, she's the best cook in the family. Like, she's a cook in the family. So even though she didn't eat meat, a lot of time, like, we would go to her house for the holidays, and she would cook, a spread. She would ask you, what do you like? and she would literally make you your own dish when you got there, so you didn't have to share with nobody. So and she would cook for everyone. And I mean, I'm talking about, and even my Uncle Lewis, her husband, she would cook for him. She just didn't eat meat, you know. And then she would actually go and then she would cook for everybody. And then I would watch her sit on the couch and eat a bell pepper, sliced up. I just thought that was like one of those things. It's like, you know, you get to thank you. You get to really see that. And that was an example that I got to see. That was an example that my aunt gave to me, that many years later when I started doing my own transition, it made it so like when people would say, how do you cook for your family and not eat it? And I get tempted. Well, number one, I could cook. So I don't have to taste my food to know it tastes good. You know what I'm saying? And then for that other thing, I could just go ahead. I don't have to influence, or I mean, I try to not say influence. I don't have to impose my eating habits on other people. They could just see me. See, that's just one of the true powers of a woman. A woman that really knows her strength. You don't have to really go into all of this, and like, you don't have to make your presence known. You know, you don't have to be so aggressive. True femininity, true womanhood to me, and what I've seen by example through my family, through the women of my family, my mom's side of the family is all women. So, but what I've been able to see through that is they were never very loud, boastful, rambunctious women. However, what they did, they did. And they didn't have to tell you to do it. And that was one of the main things that I saw. And that's something that I learned and I was able to reach back on from my auntie, because it was like, wow, she cooked oxtails and ate a bell pepper. You know, so it was really cool like that. And she didn't force it on anybody, but that was an example that I saw. And to me, that was just something amazing. So I know I went on a little tangent. I'm sorry. But all right, so let's get back. Now we're going to talk about some onions, okay? Now, onions, those are really good for respiratory health, okay? Again, immune health, you have your circulation, inflammation reduction, your blood sugar balance as well. And that's what onions do. All right, so have you ever heard of when you're sick and you're not feeling good, they'll cut a slice of onion, put it in your sock around your foot? Just me? Okay. Anyway, well, that's really good. Next time you have a cold, you really should try it. Okay, and it helps draw that cold out, and it's really good. Okay, and it says it's really good for your inflammation as well. Okay, um, so so traditionally, historically, onions were used for cough remedies, congestion relief, immune strengthening as well. So think about when we talk about how when you say for instance when you're cutting onions, it's making your eyes water, it's making your nose water. So imagine being sick and you're getting that same onion. Just sit there and cut up some onions while you sick and watch it work. You know what I'm saying? Don't get them onions to nobody because you sick. Don't do that. But you could do, the onions. You get them by the sack. So that's something that you can really do with onions, okay? Now, many cultures, they also use onion syrups before they even started doing cough syrup. That is something that I found really, really interesting, because if you do, and when you start looking into those things, that I just didn't think about it. Onion syrup, just because I think about the taste. But remember, if it's medicine, we're not worried about the taste because it's medicine. You don't have to do it every day. All right? So like another simple remedy, we're going to do the same thing that we talked about doing with the garlic. We're going to do the same thing with some onions. You're going to slice up some raw onions, white onions, not sweet onions, white onions, some strong ones. All right, you want to cover that in raw honey. If I didn't say that before, the garlic, same thing. All right, cover that all up. And I just realized I forgot to put my earbuds in. Anyway, cover that all up in honey, and it's really good. It's going to soothe that cough for you. It's going to help clear that mucus, which means it's going to allow you to cough. It's going to allow you to bring that mucus up, and it also helps support your respiratory systems. Now, sometimes the strongest remedies are the ones that make us cry. All right. I just be writing this stuff like, God, she's good. Where did she come up with this? But no, but it's true, and it is true, and that's just because that's where I am right now, and I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm learning. That's why we're here, right? So again, I want to go ahead and repeat that. It says sometimes the strongest remedies are the ones that make us cry. So now both of the herbs they do belong into the Allium family. And I may not be pronouncing it right. I'm from the deep, deep South. It's Allium family. Together, they support immune defense, circulation. They help cleanse your detox pathways as well as take care of your gut health. And this is why traditional healing broths, they often start with garlic, onion, herbs. And that's one of the ways, this is why I really, really enjoy Asian cooking. That's how I really got into it, because I see how much they infuse the herbs into the actual cooking. So when you so imagine if you're not feeling well, you start that soup with if you start your base of your soup, garlic, onion, and that's it, herbs. Put burdock root. You get some fresh burdock root out the Chinese market. Well, your Asian market. That's where you normally can get that. They even have yellow dog as well. The one that I go to all the time is Hometown Market in Homewood, Alabama. All right. Okay, so I said onion, both herbs support circulation and immunity. And I also just want to encourage you to use your herbs consistently. All right, start small and continue to build knowledge. We're going to be here every Wednesday. We're going to talk about different herbs. But this one, so as we learned last time, we did ginger and turmeric. This week we did onions and garlic. These are things that you have. And even with just what I've given you so far, if you take all of that, put in a pot together, put a little salt, pepper, you got some broth. Okay, a healing broth, a healing soup. Now imagine if you added nettles to it. This is how I love. This is my approach to cooking. This is my approach to, and this is that's why I call myself the cooking herbalist. Okay, because I'm always approaching things and eating with intentionality. Make sure that what you're eating, you're meaning to eat it. You eat it for a purpose. I'm eating this because it does this. Like this in my cup, I have I recently had a kidney stone removed. So, and it's because I don't drink enough. So what I have in my cup, my cousin sent me some, and I ordered some more. But some Trevia, some drink things. I added a little collagen to it. I'm over 40. So I put my emulsion blender in it, so make it like a little slush. I'm drinking with intention. I'm not just drinking this because I want to. Because if I went and got a Coke, I would just go and get a Coke because I want a Coke. It has no purpose for it. So this is everything that we do, especially what we're putting in our body. We want to do it with intention. You want to think about what we put in our body. Lord. So, but I was just thinking when I was saying that, like, what it was like, what goes into the mouth of man doesn't defile him, is what comes out, or something like that. That's what I was just thinking of. So really, because what goes in, what goes out is really based on what you're putting in. All right. So, like I said, just start small. We're going to start small. We're going to keep building it up, and we're going to keep using herbs. I do have, look on my page. I have an example with all of the, not an example. I have like a little posting with all of the classes. So every Wednesday, we're coming back here. We're going to be rotating. We're doing classes. I might open up another day as well. But I will let you all know. Now, if you did enjoy this class and you have not already, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to continue to do this. I'm going to do it whether it's 2 or 20,000. So, but yes, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and share it with somebody who you think that would benefit from learning about healing herbs. So I thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I don't want to hold y'all too long. Oh, wait. Did anybody have any questions? Let me go ahead and do that first before I just go ahead and pop right back out of here. And, how are we doing? All right, so there aren't any questions, but I do thank you all for tuning in. I will see y'all next week. Check your notifications. Make sure you have your notifications on. Somebody just decide to pop in and do a little thing any other time. All right, so I thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.